Speaking of Cape Town, well, South Africa says it has no apologies for joining the Club of Oil and Gas Producers and Exporters on the African continent, and that's according to the country's Minister of Energy and Mines, Gwede Mantashe. Now, the minister and the CEO of South African National Petroleum Company, Godfrey Moagi, kicked off a global investor roadshow for the country at the African Energy Week Summit in, I told you already, Cape Town. Let's take a look.
Once we pass the legislation of establishing the SANPC, SANPC will be out of SAF. It will be a standalone company. It will move as such. We're not just growing your empire. I know as chairperson, you want to have a big empire. No, we're not doing that. Actually, we want to corrode your empire, reduce it, have SANPC standing alone, grow, and be there to be seen. And our view is that the merging of the three entities will further result in cost reduction. Instead of duplicating costs, you rationalize costs, you reduce the cost ultimately. You integrate common systems and processes, you improve shared service models, you maintain strategic relevance, and sustain competitive edge in a rapidly changing oil and gas industry.
There are key issues that we're going to have to deal with, and those key issues were, issues around, how do we make sure that PetroSA is sustainable? Because a lot of challenges that we're dealing with. One, PetroSA solvency and liquidity position was problematic. The company was not making money, sitting with massive decommission liability, which actually turned the balance sheet into negative. And I remember, sometime, when I was a young lady, I used to play a lot around with numbers. And when I looked at the fixed cost to gross margin ratio, PetroSA was 800%. When we talk about best in class, you're talking about 60%. So effectively, we're burning 8 times what we are generating. So we just said, this is not sustainable. We have to do something different. And the second challenge, of course, was when you look at SAF Group, there were just some structural challenges that we're dealing with that we believe this will not get us out of hospital. So we're going to have to do something much more fundamental to actually do this. And we made a choice and said, look, we're not going to do cosmetic changes. We're going to have to look at restructuring. We're going to have to make sure that this company is sustainable, and we're going to have to pull some of the problems out of SANPC. And then we said, okay, let's then move forward as the minister's directive and actually bring all the petroleum companies together to deal with this. And one of the challenges, of course, that we had to deal with, the country had changed significantly. For those who have been around for a long time will remember that, prior to 2006, this country was a net exporter of finished products, right? And then come 2024, where we are, we're importing 70% of what we consume. That's a massive shift. So we lost refining capacity, and that just put the company and the country at risk because we're dealing with issues of security of supply. And we thought about, so what were the main objectives? Why did we do this? And of course, we said to ourselves, we're going to look at game-changing moves. We're not going to do incremental stuff. And we decided that we're going to make sure that commercial sustainability takes a priority, not only for SFF, not only for PetroSA or iGas, but actually we thought the whole group needs to get out of hospital. Otherwise, if we're not careful, we're all going to die. So we decided that we're going to make serious structural changes. And of course, as the minister said, to make sure that we drive economic recovery and the right priorities. So SANPC, we decided, is going to be an integrated company. We're going to play in the upstream, we're going to play in the midstream and the downstream, because we were disconnected. We're still dealing with, the legacy mandates that we had from the, the old apartheid days under the sanctions, we are sitting with Section 21 companies, and that's not sustainable because you have Petro SA going to Ghana, and then you have SFF going to South Sudan, and then you have one of the blocks belongs to Petro SA, and they're busy with the pipeline, and SFF is busy with the pipeline. And we thought this is where we talk about 1 + 1 get a 3 minister.